Good morning, YouTube. Let's rise and shine. Episode 37, The Lost Boys movie poster number 3. Yeah, we're still working on this one. We're going to go ahead and get started. But let's run this intro. All right, you guys. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome to the studio. I am King Kavo, and today we are working on our third installment of the Lost Boys movie poster on velvet. What can I tell you about this? Today we are going to be working on David, and we are going to be working on a couple of the other Lost Boys, trying to get the first coats. What can I tell you? Honestly, this has been a very difficult thing for me. This has been more than a challenge. If I were painting this on a regular canvas, by this stage, I probably would have gotten frustrated and painted over it. But in velvet, it's a whole different game. Why would I have gotten frustrated and painted over it? Because at this stage, I'm not happy with the likeness just yet. You know, the thing about it is that this is velvet, so I kind of got to build the layers to get to the likenesses the way that I want them to be. And it's just tricky in velvet, you know. So I gotta fight through things that I wouldn't really have to deal with doing portraits on a regular canvas. And on a regular canvas, you know, I can get pretty darn accurate. And at that point, now I do things to change up the image, to do things, you know, it's like they say, when you have the ability to make changes comes from years of skill, right? Some people, you know, they're trying their best to get to, you know, 100%. Well, let me tell you, 100% accuracy is impossible even for copy machines. After a while, their accuracy will start to fall off. But at any rate, when it comes to velvet on this particular portrait, it's just tricky. It's just been difficult. It hasn't gone the way that I would like it to go, but I am not going to stop. I'm going to continue to work on it. Procrastinate though I may, at some point in time or another, I will finish this painting, and I promise you that when I do finish it, I will be happy with it, despite whatever places I'm not all the way happy with it. Really, I'm happy with the attempt and the challenge being what it is. And so that to me is more than fulfilling. Like I said, I came into this with kind of low expectations. You know what I mean? I knew that I was up against it. I knew that I was trying to do something that I had not attempted before, and I knew that I was not going to get the perfect results had I, you know, done it a different way. You know what I mean? And so I'm already, you know, sort of over wherever I'm not going to be living up to some standard that I might have had in another format. I am thrilled to be painting, and I'm thrilled to be painting this subject, and I'm having fun with it. You know what I mean? That's the part I think that people, you know, when it comes to doing things, you know, people just want to already be good. People just want to already have the end skill set to, you know, have the skills to pay the bills. You know, I mean, let me take this, you know, rhyme back to the 80s or whatever. But I mean, you know, people, you know, when I first started to do tattoos, I remember, because this was how it happened for me, right? When I first started to tattoo, I did barely a month, 2 months worth of an apprenticeship. And then I just jumped into it. Circumstances were what they were. They weren't entirely positive, due to my inaction and failure and things that I could have done better, and others, right? But at the end of the day, my apprenticeship in tattooing was short-lived. And then I just jumped right into it as if I knew what the hell I was doing. The problem is that I didn't. But that didn't stop me. I just, you know, as they said back in the 90s, right? Fake it till you make it, right? And that was kind of it. That's what I did up until, you know, 2 years into it. Then we had a national tattoo convention come into town, and I took a couple seminars, and that's where I really learned that I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? But along that 2-year path of faking it, so to speak, you know, there were things that I learned, things that I picked up. And it's like, you know what? I realized that without that 2 years worth of struggling to figure it out and being diligent to my own trying to learn, you know, digging up the information that I could find that was available that wasn't really available back then. I mean, there might have been only 1 or 2 books about tattooing, right? I think Huck Spalding had a book, and that was, you know, I think he had 1 or 2 other books, and that was kind of it. You know, there was no internet when I started doing tattoos, so you couldn't just look up how to do any tattooing, because that was just unheard of. It wasn't real like that. There was no internet like that. Nowadays, you don't have to. You can sit there and learn how to do anything from YouTube, right? I'm sort of kind of teaching you how to paint on velvet, although that's not really my intention. But if you're looking to do this, you are watching this with a different eye than someone who's just looking to be entertained by me, you know, screwing up this poster. You know what I mean? You're looking at it from the standpoint of, how is he screwing up this poster? Where are his mistakes? What is he doing right? You know, and then you're trying to take that and then go apply it. Well, I would suggest not just, you know, trying this secondhand learning type thing, but actually spending the time to work on these things yourself, to actually put the time in. Because the part of that is that I'm painting this, and I'm not painting this under the idea that it's going to be accomplished when I'm done with this painting. I'm actually painting this with the idea that this is going to help me paint something later, right? The skills that I pick up in messing up this poster right now are going to be skills that are going to help me not mess up something later. You know what I mean? And it's just really putting that time in. You know what I mean? And I guess, you know, I'm old school. You know what I mean? I'm so old school. Like, it's not that I don't like to fly. I've flown and I have been in planes before. I was in the Air Force, you know, but I like to drive, right? I would much rather take days to drive someplace than it would take hours to fly. Why? Because to me, there's lessons on that road. You know what I mean? There's something to that journey, right? To me, I have been in the past, right? I have been in situations where I have gone on little mini vacations real quick with people, right? And I found I have learned less about those people than when I have gone on road trips with people. At the end of a road trip, you know who's your road dog, right? If you just hop a flight and go someplace, well, you know who's willing to show up at the end. You know what I mean? You know who's willing to be there, not do any work, and just get there to the good time with you as fast as humanly possible. You know, and really any skill worth having, excuse me, any skill worth having, you have to put the effort into. Even even like so many people in my life have told me that God gave me a gift, this gift of art. Well, I will agree, right? I have truly been gifted, but I have had to put so much work into this that nothing has come but the gift. You know what I mean? It's like there is so much work and effort that I have put into being an artist that the gift of being an artist is really just the patience and endurance of the work. That's really what it is. You know what I mean? And to have the love and passion for that, so that it's not really work, so that it's not really having to endure, but really it's something that you enjoy, right? So that's really what this has been for me. Art has always been something that has been, work. It has always been something that has required me to put a whole lot of effort and energy into it, where people really don't see, and even in this, right? You're watching me do the paint, but you didn't see me travel to the art store to buy the canvas, deal with that whole interaction. You didn't see how I had to go to 3 or 4 different Joann fabrics to get the right velvet, right? You didn't see how I had to deal with all the traffic and everything that was involved with that. You didn't see how I had to do one thing in order to make the money, in order to buy the velvet and the canvas, right? You didn't see me have to do what I needed to do in order to buy the paint, right? And so all of those things factor in, right? And now usually you don't even get to see the process, right? And so this is just taking an opportunity to sort of show you a little peek behind the curtain to see what goes on in creating art. A lot of times you'll look at all kinds of different videos on YouTube about creating art. And there's so many things that are going into that you don't see. You know what I mean? And all of those things come from the work, the time in. And you can't just rush to the end of it. You can't just have the success because that's what it is. Because if that was the case, then truly success is worthless, right? Because if it doesn't take anything to get there, it doesn't take anything to stay there, then it's not worth anything. Again, I told you before that being comfortable is a detriment, right? So if success comes easily, and that's what it is, and there's no work involved, well, then you're not going to take advantage. You're going to get comfortable real quick, and then whatever it is that you're doing that's making you a success is going to be short-lived. And then someone else will come along and be more successful than you because they've done more work than you. That was kind of it. I had a friend of mine many years ago that was into I forget how you call it. It was like professional football, but it wasn't like NFL. I forget what he called it. But they had to show up for practice. They had to do all those things. They got paid and all the different things that were involved. And one of the things that he would tell me that the coach would always say to him and the other players was that you practice 3 or 4 days a week. You put in hours and hours and hours and hours of practice, and you might only get an accumulated time of maybe 30 minutes of play. So you're practicing hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of your life for 30 minutes of work. And that's the 30 minutes that anybody ever sees, is that 30 minutes, right? And so you got to put in all of the stuff that you need to do. And no one realizes that the climb up the mountain is bigger than the top. You understand? The top is a small little thing, but it's the base of the mountain. It's the beginning. It's putting in work on Monday because on Sunday, you got 30 minutes to shine. And that's kind of what it is to be an artist. You know, there's a whole lot that goes into it that requires my work, requires my energy, requires my discipline, requires all of these things, and not simply just being in the mood. You know, a lot of people paint because they feel like, oh, you know, I feel like painting. I'm waiting for the creative impulse to hit me, and then when it hits me, then I can paint. Well, a professional doesn't have that opportunity. A professional just has to paint. You know what I mean? And if not, then you're procrastinating. And now me personally, I'm a professional procrastinator. I can figure out ways to slack off and be lazy and still accomplish stuff. That's weird, huh? But if I could just figure out a way to stop procrastinating about a lot of things, maybe I could be more successful, right? Just like anything. But at the same time, I think I'd probably find a way in the ultimate level of success to still find a way to, you know, chill out and enjoy, be lazy, sit back and relax, you know? When you put in a lot of work, you know, you work hard, play hard, you know? But when it comes to something like this, the thing about it is that this is putting in effort, this is putting in energy, this is putting in muscle work, muscle memory, eyes, using my vision, trying to denote and detone different things so that I can see. Yeah, detone, was that a word? I don't know. Anyway, but I'm using all of my faculties to try and work my way through this painting, through climbing the mountain of this movie poster, right? Now, when I get to the top of this particular mountain and it is finished, where I'm not going to do anything else to it, well, was I successful? Personally, of course I'm going to be successful because I'm going to finish it. Now, will I have finished it in the way that I would have wanted to, or did I mess up? Well, to be quite honest with you, I would prefer, in my heart of my hearts, I would prefer that it be less than perfect. I would prefer that it be something where I have room to grow. Because again, if it comes out perfect in the end, well, then the only thing I can really chalk that up to is years of skill, years of work getting to that point. And that's just me and my ability working to where, you know, obviously I can do great things artistically. So if I can get to that point, then yes, fantastic. But ultimately, what will I have learned? You know what I mean? Where would I have grown? If my potential is 90% and I meet 90%, well then, you know, big deal. No problem. But if my potential is, you know, greater and I'm a little bit beneath that, well then that means I got room to grow. That means next time around I can be just a little bit better. You know what I mean? And that's it. That, to me, you know, it's like they say, the failures sometimes are the place where you can find the biggest lessons. You know what I mean? So no, I don't hope that this comes out perfectly in the end. That's kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? I would just like for it to be good. You know, that would be great right there. Just enough to be good. Then I have the opportunity to be great later doing something else. Right? Put the work in, guys. Make the journey worthwhile. I know sometimes it can be blindingly tedious to sit there and just, you know, I was looking at doing some dot matrix stuff. Man, I think I could go dot blind after a while from doing some of that stuff. But that's what it is. You got to put the work in. You got to do that. So if you want it, if you love it, and that's the passion that you're going for, that's what you're going to do. You're going to do that anyway. So I'm kind of preaching to the choir. But I'd like to thank you guys for watching, tuning in. This is the third installment on The Lost Boys. I think now at this point I got everything with the first coat. And now I can just start really building up. And now we'll really see in these next few episodes, you know, how I can pull it together. Stay tuned to your nearest Vampire Bat channel. Yeah. Art by Kavo. That's right. Hit your man up. You need some velvet in your life. Yeah, I'm out.
あなたと私は完璧に等しい。あなたと私は完璧に等しい。
Ouch! Watch where you're poking that, mister.
Assimilate algorithm resistance is futile.